An update now on an I-TEAM investigation into former Ascension St. Vincent's orthopedic surgeon Dr. David Heekin. He's accused of botching hundreds of surgeries. Lawsuits allege that he operated on patients while he had a progressive neurological condition. The plaintiffs say numerous healthcare employees and patients noticed his slurred speech, that he lost his balance and showed poor judgment and mood disturbances. I-TEAM investigator Ann Maxwell is joining us now live with the update. Ann.
Mary, tonight the I-TEAM has obtained audio recordings cited by the plaintiffs in recently filed court documents that reportedly shows the doctor slurring his speech during an office visit, as well as video from a deposition that shows Dr. Heekin appearing disoriented, slurring his words and having outbursts just months after his last operations. We've also obtained hundreds of pages of documents plaintiffs say show hospital leadership was aware of issues with Dr. Heekin for years, but continued to allow him to operate severely injuring patients. Plaintiffs' attorneys are asking for permission to seek punitive damages against St. Vincent's Medical Center, laying out their evidence in nearly 500 pages detailing botched surgeries, erratic behavior from the doctor, and documents suggesting leadership at the hospital were alerted about his unfitness to operate. The plaintiffs say Dr. David Heekin became the founder and director of St. Vincent's Orthopedic Center of Excellence around 2012. This video was cited in their request to the court seeking permission to pursue punitive damages.
Hi, I'm Dr. David Heekin, Medical Director of the Orthopedic Center of Excellence at St. Vincent's. Once known as an older man's surgery, hip replacements have become, well, hip.
The plaintiffs allege the doctor changed when he got sick with a progressive neurological condition, but continued to operate for years, causing hundreds of devastating injuries on patients from 2016 to 2020. Plaintiffs allege this audio recording of Dr. Heekin is from an office visit from February of 2019.
When did we put that? When did we do the IND and put that wound vac on it?
They put it on January 27th.
Court records showed this deposition of Dr. Heekin was taken for a medical malpractice lawsuit in August of 2020. He had retired earlier that year.
Doctor, I apologize for asking, but have you been diagnosed with a medical condition that makes it difficult for you to express your testimony today?
Yes.
Does your medical condition, did that play some role in your decision to retire?
Yes.
Hundreds of lawsuits allege Dr. Heekin would lose his temper and intimidate other healthcare providers at St. Vincent's, often using inappropriate language that was consistent with the lack of impulse control. Here's the 2020 deposition again.
Was your answer before that because my office screwed up?
I thought you couldn't understand that.
I'm just clarifying that you were shouting. I had difficulty understanding it, that's all. Did you work July 4, 2019?
Oh, no. What did you have for dinner? I don't know.
The plaintiffs allege independent orthopedic doctors in the area saw so many inexplicably devastated patients of Dr. Heekin's that one of them reached out to St. Vincent's leadership, texting the CEO in January of 2020. We're seeing a large uptake of severe complications from Dr. Heekin. These patients will end up with above-knee amputations and girdle stones. That's a salvage procedure the plaintiffs say essentially permanently confines patients to a wheelchair. He goes on to say, I'm going to stop seeing his patients because I can't take care of them all. The CEO responded, it's important to investigate, and said he'd put the doctor in touch with St. Vincent's chief medical officer. However, lawsuits allege Dr. Heekin continued performing surgeries that harmed patients at the hospital for months. 4 days later, plaintiffs say employees texted each other asking how many revisions do you think a certain doctor does of Heekin's cases, and saying, quote, no one is doing anything about it. He is out of his mind today. He's so confused. His entire room thinks he's fine, and the clinical coordinator thinks he's fine. He can't form a full sentence. But even before then, the plaintiffs say leadership knew of possible issues, with the chief nursing officer saying in a deposition that the chief medical officer was alerted about the doctor soiling himself in an airport in 2018, but she wasn't aware of any call to action. It's also alleged that in September of 2019, Dr. Heekin crashed into a parked car in broad daylight on a clear day in the parking lot at St. Vincent's and performed surgeries that same day, including on Jacqueline Rivera, who previously told the I-TEAM the knee replacement left her legs different lengths. The plaintiffs say the evidence is clear. The hospital knew Dr. Heekin wasn't fit to perform surgeries in his final years there, but they continued to let him operate. Plaintiffs also allege the hospital disregarded patients' complaints, saying the doctor was an independent contractor. The hospital will have a chance to respond to the plaintiffs' request for punitive damages. Court records show they have not filed that response yet. But in other court records, the hospital has denied allegations of wrongdoing and filed its own cross-claim against Dr. Heekin and the Heekin Clinic, alleging the doctor, not the hospital, should be liable to the plaintiffs for damages. An attorney representing St. Vincent's declined to comment tonight. We have not yet heard back today from attorneys for Dr. Heekin and the Heekin Clinic. For now, I'm Ann Maxwell, Channel 4, the local station.